And hello, everyone. Welcome to another live scanning session or power scanning session. It is November 16, and it is time again to once again scan for the best setups of the week ahead. We are tradingindicators.com, and my name is Daniel Sinnig. I'm the guy here on the left-hand side, and together with Homa. Homa's in the chat today as well. We have created tradingindicators.com about 10 years ago. And I know Homer for more than 20 years, if you believe it. We met back in the day in grad school, back when our ambitions were completely different. She was doing a PhD in software engineering. I was doing my master's at the time. We were stuck in the same research lab for hours and hours and nights and days. And I guess that was so bonding that we decided to create some businesses together. And one of those businesses is tradingindicators.com. We've been doing this now for more than 10 years. And over the years, we have built almost 1,000 trading indicators and other trading tools for clients all over the world, which is amazing to have such a big and rich user base of our tools. We really have clients in the US, in Canada, in Europe, in Germany, and South America, Asia, Australia. It is fascinating. It's been a very rewarding journey for us. Most of what we do, and almost everything, what we do is based on what's called technical analysis, which is basically pattern analysis of your price chart. We believe that fundamental information is almost immediately priced in, and by analyzing your price chart, you will indirectly also take into account fundamental information. We also believe that trading should be simple, and in fact is simple, but you need to know what to look for. And today, for example, we are going to share with you some very simple to detect entries, which are very clear and clean. Everybody can see them, and they actually make sense from an intuitive point of view. And sometimes the things that make the most sense are actually also the best setups that you can find. So let's try to find these ones together. All right, a quick reminder, guys, that trading does contain substantial risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is capital that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and strategies discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right, so with this out of the way, a quick announcement before we really get into today's topic is that on Monday, I will be, and I probably should have put the date here, but on Monday at 12 p.m. at noon again, so in exactly 2 days from now, I will be talking at the 2025 Profit Playbook Conference. And in my talk, I will discuss how you can unveil market secrets using what we call liquidity zones. Liquidity zones is a principle that not just us, but traders have discovered, which will help you to find important areas on your price chart. And we, in fact, have developed an indicator based on this principle called Liquidity IQ. And how awesome this indicator sometimes works, you can see it here. This is a 5-minute chart of the NASDAQ futures. Just recent price action. I believe you're taking into account Friday's price action, perhaps a bit of Thursday's as well. And look how beautiful these resistance and support levels are holding up at times. And once broken, you can also see this huge follow through, which is a common phenomena. When support is broken, for example, you have big follow through, oftentimes to the downside, or in case of resistance, if it's broken, you may see a big move to the upside instead. And how this works exactly, we will share with you in this conference. And Homa, please put this link, if you can, into the chat. And I believe this link may actually be not the right one. Homa, perhaps you can look it up real quick.
Yeah, actually, Daniel, I was just going to say that link has changed. I put the correct one in the chat.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just seeing it here. This did not look right to me. So Homa's going to put the right link into the chat. All right. And Fred is asking, what is my view on gold? We're going to get to gold. Just a quick, what I believe of gold, what's happening is we're just going to we're seeing a correction of gold. It's been so bullish, so overextended in what we are seeing right now. I know we had a couple of really big down days in gold. I believe this is just a correction and the bullish one will continue. That's my take. But we're going to get to this symbol in just a bit. All right, so with this out of the way as well, let's see what we have in stock for today. So once again, we are going to interactively scan for what we call high reward and low risk setups. These are our favorite setups because if you're right, you might be in for a very nice gain. And if you're wrong, you will only lose a little bit. So to me and my trading personality, these are setups that I personally prefer because of this ratio of what you can win compared to what you may lose if you're wrong. Of course, the downside to these ones is that, you may not be right all the time. That's impossible to begin with. But with these kind of setups, it may take a few times, a few tries to get your big win, and you have to be comfortable with that. All right. Having this said, if you want to follow along, and I suggest you do, you may want to get access to our Liquidity View dashboard, which is actually what we're going to be using today to find these high reward and low risk setups. And it is not too late to take advantage of a free trial that we're offering. And the cool thing is that you will get instant access. So as soon as you go to tradingindicators.com/view, sign up there. You will get instant access. It will take perhaps 1 minute, maybe a bit less, to get your access. And then you can follow along interactively. And this is really a completely free trial. There are no obligations. There's no contract. You can cancel at any time. And of course, if you decide to stay along, there are some attractive monthly and yearly options available. So something to think about if you want to follow along interactively in this session. All right. So with this, now let's really get into it. And just one more last reminder, we also have an ebook available. It's completely free. You don't even have to, put any payment information into the form. Just go to this link. It's called The Power of Three. And this ebook discusses the three main setups that we're going to discuss in today's session, which is our bounce setup, our zone break setup, and our zone break retrace setup. It's going to discuss these setups in much more detail as we can do it right now. It's going to look at some theoretical, reasons why these setups are so powerful, why we like them so much, and why these are high reward and low risk setups. So if you want to check it out, simply go to this link here, tradingindicators.com/power of three, and Huma will also put this link into the chat box. All right.
And Daniel, I just wanted to add that I encourage all of you to actually go through the book because it goes into detail about the different setups that we're looking for, so that Daniel's scanning for. So that way you have a good idea and you can do it on your own.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Selma. All right, perfect. And keeping the suspense up, but this is a quick reminder also that this is already our sixth session, our sixth live scanning session. And so far, we were able to take the feedback of each session and use it to further improve our Liquidity View dashboard. So for example, from session 1, we added a new feature to the dashboard, which indicates now how fresh a setup is, for how many bars this particular setup has been present. So this is, I think, it's very insightful information, especially to see it directly in your scanner. From session 2, we have added a trade notes feature. Back then, it was just a very basic feature. So that you could use to annotate your symbols, but this has been done from session 2. From session 3, we have added new scans to our dashboard, which can now scan for what we call liquidity captures and pullbacks. And the second one here, the pullback scan, we are actually going to use today in today's scanning session. And I promise you, I ran a quick scan before we started. You're going to find some really interesting setups using this pullback scan. And then from session 4 and 5, we decided to further improve our trade notes that we started with session from the feedback from session 2. Now we have dictation. You can actually dictate your trade notes using audio. We have the ability to add screenshots to your notes. And soon, and this will be hopefully available for next week, you will be able to export all your trade notes into a PDF file, which will give you a full trade journal. And you may have heard it before, trade journaling or trade annotations is one very important thing to improve your trading, because then you can do a retrospective to see what happened in the past. And you can use this to further enhance your trading, to learn from your mistakes or learn from what worked really well in the past. So this is one objective. And I quickly see here that somebody has problems getting the free trial. So yeah, I'm sorry for this. If you're having issues, perhaps send me a quick note after this webinar. I'm going to make it happen. And for now, just follow along during this presentation. But we can, of course, enable your free trial right after this session. All right. And if you have any suggestions, and we're getting new suggestions every single week, please put them also into the Q&A box, and we will take these into account. All right. So with this now, let's finally get started. So we are going to look for high reward and low risk setups. And these are setups where the profit potential typically outweighs the risk that you are taking on the trade by a multiple. So you stand to gain more than you stand to lose. And oftentimes you stand to gain much, much more than you may lose. So this always, but most of the time, requires a very tight stop loss. Now, the downside of this is if you are using a tight stop loss, you may get stopped out more often than you win. It's completely normal. It's part of this trading style, so to say. And yeah, you just have to be mentally prepared for this, that not every trade will be a winner, and you may actually have more losers than you will have winners. But since your profit potential outweighs the risk by a multiple, even with a win rate below 50%, you might be quite profitable. Just be aware of that. All right. So what are the setups that we're going to be looking for, and how we are going to look for these setups? Well, we actually have a process in place. So step number one of our process is to focus on one setup at a time. I think that makes it very easy to follow along. We're not going to be all over the place. Once we have scanned for a particular setup, we will then create a hot list of symbols that we found interesting. And then in step 3, we are going to do a detailed analysis of each symbol in that hot list. And we're going to add some trade notes to it, using, of course, our brand new trade notes feature in the dashboard. All right, so stay tuned for this. And normally, if you've been there for our first 5 sessions, we call these setups the power of 3. But for today, I decided to make a quick, tweak to it. And we're going to call the power of 3 plus. See this little plus sign here? Because in addition to these 3 setups, which are our classic power of 3 setups, the bounce, zone break, and zone break retrace setups, I decided to add a 4th one to the mix. This is where the plus sign comes from. And we're going to call the setup the healthy pullback setup. And in fact, I want to start with this one because it's kind of newish, but at the same time, it's super, super intuitive. So let's start with our healthy pullback setup, which is also high reward and low risk. So this fits right exactly into the same category as the other ones. So what is this healthy pullback setup all about? Well, let's check out this price chart. All right, so what do we see here? Well, I don't think it takes a PhD in finance to see that this stock, this is Iron Mountain, I believe. This stock is, well, very bullish. We do see a very strong uptrend. We can see very easily that price is going up. And while it's going up, it's making higher highs and higher lows. Classic signs of a well-established uptrend. I think it's very, very easy to see. Now, if you are a trend trader, of course, you are looking for stocks like this, which are strongly trending, which is very normal, which is very intuitive. But as a trend trader, there are good times and there are bad times to enter into a trend trade. And I know that hindsight is 2020, of course. We would all be millionaires if you knew what would be happen for sure in the future. But just by looking at this chart, we can see good moments to enter and bad moments to enter into this trend trade. So let me just give you an example. What would be a bad moment to enter? Well, let's look at recent price action. If you had entered all the way up here at the top, that obviously, with hindsight, would have been a bad moment to enter. Or likewise here, at this top, it would be a bad moment to enter because right after you're going to have a fairly big drawdown. Of course, price recovered afterwards, but there would have been better moments to enter into a trade. Yeah. So we have this strong trend, but there are bad and good moments to enter. Now, how can we find these bad and good moments? Well, for this, we actually have an indicator which will help you to find exactly these particular entries. Look at the indicator just below the price chart, this little histogram here below. This indicator is called Trend Radar. And if you, of course, if you followed us for longer, you already know about this indicator. And one thing this indicator specializes in is to find these awesome opportunities to enter into a trend trade. So first of all, you have to see that this is a bullish trend, and Trend Radar shows you this by means of this very last row here, the bottom row in the indicator, which is all the way green with no stop. Green, green, green. This is our long-term trend. It is completely bullish. All right. But every once in a while, you see some red patches in the upper rows. And these upper rows denote our short-term trends and medium-term trends. And what these patches actually indicate to you are our healthy pullbacks within this strong uptrend. And guess what? Whenever such a red patch occurs or ends, this is exactly when you want to enter into a trend trade. Look how it coincides. Every red patch coincides with price pulling back within this uptrend. Here, pull back. This one here, pull back down. And now, most recently, a pullback from the recent historical high that this stock made. And don't you think that this could be a great opportunity to enter into a trend trade? In my opinion, yes, it's definitely a great opportunity because you're buying the dips. Every trend will dip eventually. There's no trend that will go up in a straight line. And with this indicator, you can now see very easily when such a dip happened and whether it is still considered a healthy pullback. Because one thing, of course, is also clear. Eventually, this uptrend will come to an end. 100%. It will come to an end at some point. But the question is, how can we differentiate between a healthy pullback and perhaps a complete trend reversal? Well, in our indicator, you can see that right now, in this particular state, we are still in a healthy pullback state because the last row here, the green one, is still completely green. So this uptrend, the long-term uptrend, has not been broken yet. And this is exactly what we're going to scan for today to start with. All right, so with this, let me go to our dashboard. So I'm going to switch over to our Liquidity View dashboard, if I can find it. Let me just quickly open it up here. I think I had it open before, but it's going to open it up again. So you're going to log in to your dashboard. And if you're a new user, by the way, if you're using it for the very first time, you will need to create an account here first. This is the first step to do it. Okay, so I'm going to log in real quick to our dashboard. There we go. Of course, I saved my password. As you do these days. So I'm logging in. And as this is loading, let me see if there are any questions coming in, which I could take real quick while the dashboard is loading. I do see some symbol requests. We're going to get to these towards the end of this presentation. All right. So
Daniel, we do have an interesting question rather from Andy.
Okay.
He wanted to know the difference between scanning with the Liquidity View dashboard and the Metastock templates that he uses.
So if you are scanning for pullbacks, it is quite similar what you see in Metastock to what you will see here in our dashboard. But of course, our dashboard adds, has additional scans available, which will actually find you these very strong trending stocks in the first place. Because, scanning for a pullback, and let me just go back to my slide one more second. Scanning for a pullback actually only really makes sense if you're also trending very strongly. If you're kind of sideways and see these kind of patches, and if there's no clear uptrend or downtrend, then this is not so powerful. So our dashboard actually allows you to find these kind of strongly trending stocks, be it to the upside or the downside. So this is one difference. And there are other ones too. And you will see as we're going to go through our dashboard, you will clearly see what, in addition, the dashboard brings on the table. All right. So here's our dashboard. And I just logged in. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out all my filters. I'm going to start off with, we call a clean slate. So this is this red. You must think I'm colorblind. This yellow button here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to click on it, and all my filters, you can see there's some filters enabled, they will be deleted. So I click on it. We now have our clean slate, and we can see that we are tracking roughly 5,000 symbols. By the way, guys, we have big plans for this symbol list, and we soon will extend it to about 8,000 symbols. This is in the making. We are still negotiating with our data provider to get a better deal so we can fetch all these symbols within a reasonable time. So this is in the making. All right, so scanning through roughly 5,000 symbols at the moment. And well, to start off with, we want to find stocks which are trending very strongly and which are currently in a healthy pullback state. How can we find it? Well, and there's actually one more thing I want to point out. So let's have a quick look at United Rentals here. This was just up by coincidence, but there's something important to point out. And of course, this might be even a stock which is already in a healthy pullback state, but let's just look at one more thing which I believe is important. Look, what happened here, and at this moment here on October 30th around, and here on September 19th or 20th. What happened here? Well, this symbol broke above the highest resistance level. And we know this because if I actually go to the settings of this indicator and I enable zone breaks, I usually disable it because it colors the chart a little bit, but let me quickly enable it. You can see that we have these zone break labels. And these only occur if at the point in time, the highest level of resistance was broken. And this is actually important because if we break the very top level of resistance, there's no other level above, that means we have blue skies ahead. There's no other level above us which could stop our price move. This actually is also a very important ingredient into our mix because we don't want to be restricted as to how far we can go by a nearby resistance level. Okay. So please keep this in mind as well, because what we're going to do now is, first of all, we are going to filter for stocks which are currently trading above the highest level of resistance. Okay, so how can we do this? We simply go to our scanner here on the left-hand side, and we're going to use a column called LIQ setup, which stands for Liquidity IQ setup. And for those of you who are new, Liquidity IQ is this indicator here. On this chart. So let me just hide this one real quick. It's this one here, which shows you these levels of support and resistance, and it also shows you when a level is broken. And both are very important events because we're going to scan for those ones now. Okay, so let me enable the other one real quick as well. This is called MA Rush. We're going to get to this indicator in a second. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to click on this filter icon here right next to our Liquidity IQ setup column. And now I will scan for the long break value here. So once I do this, I now have filtered down from almost 5,000 stocks to about 500 stocks. And all these 500 stocks, these are currently trading above the highest level of resistance. So that's already pretty cool because, we know, there's nothing else above that level, which is at least in sight. Sometimes, if a stock maybe 10 years ago established a resistance level such a long time ago, well, this may be out of sight now. But at least for those ones here, there's no other resistance level in sight. Okay, so let me just click on this one here real quick, just to show you what I mean. We can see here that this stock, what is it? ACOM Technology Corp, ACM, broke above the highest level of resistance on September 18, and it's been trading above it ever since. You can see it very clearly. In fact, we can also see here directly in our scanner that this break above resistance happened 41 trading days ago. So actually you can see it directly in the scanner. You don't have to go to the chart. This is the setup duration indication, Remember when I talked about we added a new feature to the dashboard, which shows the freshness of a setup? This is exactly the feature I talked about. Okay, so this is step number one. We want to find stocks which are
Daniel,
actually,
while you're on that number, we have a
yes.
question here about what does that number tell you? What would you do differently if it was lower or higher?
Of course. So in this particular case, and the interpretation is a bit different for every setup. In this particular case, it shows me, hey, this stock broke above resistance and hasn't looked back since. 41 days ago, it broke above it, and it's been still trading above that resistance level. So this is a nice long trend in the making. Or here, for example, this one here on ACIW. You see the number 73 here. It's even more extreme. This one broke 73, and you can see here this level 73 bars ago above its resistance level. So a long, long time ago. It indicates the freshness of the setup. And sometimes it is good to have a big number. So I believe in this case, especially for our pullback scan, it is good to have a bigger number here because it shows it's very well established. But sometimes, and this will come a bit later in today's presentation, it's good to actually have a small number. We're going to get to this in a second. Okay, so but let me go back to, now of course I forgot which symbol I had before. Was it this one here? ACM. Okay, so ACM is trading above resistance, and it's been 41 trading days. Good. Check number one. Check number two is we want to find stocks which are currently in a healthy pullback state. And for this, we can use this column here. You see, this one is called pullback. And if I open up the filter here, we can now filter for the degree of the pullback that we're seeing. And just by looking at this one here, without filtering so far, we can see that ACM is in a level 3 pullback. You see this number 3 here? That means level 3. So what does this level 3 actually mean from an indicator point of view? Now, if we go back to our trend radar indicator, let me make this a little bit bigger here. What do we see here in the very last column, which denotes the last bar on the chart? 3 red squares, 3 rows down. This is exactly what the number 3 denotes here. We have a pullback down to our medium-term trend, which is level 3 in trend radar, while everything else is green. This is exactly what this means. Okay, let's go to a bit more extreme example. What about this one here? AEM, level 4 pullback. What do we see? Well, 4 levels down here in our trend radar indicator. You can see it very easily. So this shows you the degree of the pullback that we're currently seeing. And, there's different theories out there as to what is the sweet spot. But I believe for today, we're going to look at level 4 pullbacks because I want to see a big, deep pullback because these give you oftentimes the best entry opportunities because price retraced quite a bit. Especially also if they coincide, like here, with a support level, which is supporting price where it is right now. And the anticipation is that, hey, we're going to drive potentially higher from this point on. But now if we enter now, we're entering at a much better price than we would have entered all the way up here. Because that's the big advantage to have these pullback scans. Okay, so next, what we're going to do is we are going to now filter for all these level 4 pullbacks. I'll click on this one here. And now we're down to 22 stocks. Well, that's much more manageable. And I'm going to do one more thing. Something I like to do is just to filter also for volume. I don't like to trade stocks which are not very liquid. So I'm going to add a volume filter to it that I only want to see stocks in my list here which have at least 500,000 shares traded on average. So this filter's done. And now we are down to, let's see, 14 stocks. Wow, that's very manageable. Perfect. Okay. So, but there's one more thing I want to do because, it's going to be tedious to go through all these 14 stocks one by one. Let's make our life a little bit easier. And what I will do is they all have number 4 here. You can see it, all number 4 pullback. But I will sort by the duration of the overall uptrend. This is this column here. It's called MA Rush. So that's one more concept I need to explain. So MA Rush, let me just make this a little bit zoom out a little bit. So if I disable our liquidity IQ indicator, this will only leave MA Rush on the chart. So this is this indicator here. I just applied it. So MA Rush is our trend, our long-term trend indicator. And you can see these labels here. They go from bullish to bearish to bullish which basically shows you what is my long-term trend doing. And we can see here that this stock, for example, AEM has been bullish for since March 20th, 2024, which happens to be 73, I'm sorry, 167, see this number here, 167 trading days ago. You can actually see it exactly also in this number here, how long this stock has been bullish. So what I want to do now is I want to sort by stocks which have been bullish for the longest. How do I do this? I simply click on this column here and I sort from highest to lowest. The first one that comes up is IRM, Iron Mountain Incorporated. And once I click on it, I can clearly see, hey, this stock is, has been bullish forever for 974 trading days. I don't know how many years ago this was. So if I scroll back here, Jesus, I guess everybody's concerned with destroying the documents, and that's what they do. They specialize in securely destroying paper documents, mainly. And we can see here, this stock turned bullish on January 4th, 2021, so 974 trading days ago. And this stock has not looked back since. This is extremely, extremely bullish. But recently, we have seen a very beautiful pullback, a level 4 pullback. And I believe this could be a very interesting opportunity to re-enter long into this uptrend, because these pullbacks, these healthy pullbacks are your best friend as a trend trader. So let's add this one to our hot list. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here to my drop down. I'm going to create a new watch list. All right, so interesting setups. What day is today? 2024. Oops. November 16. Okay, so it's always good to annotate it. And I'm going to add this stock here. Just right click on it, add symbols to our watch list. There we go. And I now added this symbol to our watch list. All right, perfect. So this is done. This is our first stock we're going to consider. But let's go to the next one. What is this one here?
Daniel, before
PSN.
you,
Yes.
is it a good time for a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. So we have an anonymous user here who wants to know, can you explain the pullback levels again?
Yeah. So Trend Radar, and this goes down to this indicator down here, has exactly 5 levels. You can see it here. It's the first row, it's level 1. The second row is level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. So these are denoting or kind of representing your very short-term trend to the short-term trend, your medium-term trend, your long-term trend, and your very long-term trend. So if they're green, that means this trend is bullish. And if they are red, it means that this trend is bearish. Okay. So what are we seeing here is that this stock is bullish for the very long-term trend. See this last row here? It's all green. But the other ones, the medium-term trends and the little less long trend and the short-term trends, these are all bearish. And this is exactly what we're seeing here. It just went down a lot. Not sure what happened with RMO in the last 2 days, but there must have been some news which drove down that stock quite a bit. And we're seeing this big pullback here. So this is an interesting re-entry opportunity into this bullish move, especially since the very long-term trend is not broken yet. It's still green. Okay. Okay. So I hope this it is not iron, it is actually PSN here. And not Iron Mountain. So we have this big drawback here, pullback here. But our long-term trend is not broken. So I'm going to add this one as well to our watch list. All right, of interesting stocks, November 16, 2014. And one more time, and then we're going to go to the other setups. What about this one here? RNR. All right. So what do we see here? This one also has been bullish for 496 trading days. Yeah. And a similar scenario, we pulled back quite a bit since we made this big spike up here to almost 300. A normal thing, guys, just because I'm seeing this here, I didn't rehearse this, of course, but look at how close this spike went to the psychological number of exactly 300. And people say that, hey, psychological numbers, these round numbers, this is just a coincidence. I don't believe so, because these things happen over and over again. So there is definitely some value in these round numbers, because in the end, a lot of trading, whether directly or indirectly, is done by human beings. And these numbers mean something to us. We'll tend to like round numbers. So there is also some meaning in these round numbers. So we had this big pullback, and also going to add this one here to our watch list. All right, so 3 ones are enough. And of course, if you have access to the dashboard, feel free to continue this research to find even better setups. Okay, perfect. So now let me go back to my slides. And now let's talk about the next setup. And this is now back to our classic setups that we had, the bounce setup. So this one here, so we're done with healthy pullback. Now we're going to talk about bounce. So bounce is a setup. It's a bit different, where price actually is trading near a support level, as identified by our liquidity IQ indicator, and it is likely that price will bounce off the support level towards the middle, in between support and resistance. And once again, this would be considered a high reward and low risk setup, because you would put your stop loss just below the support level, and you're hoping that price will go towards the middle of these two zones. And you can easily see that, hey, what you can gain is much more than you would be losing with these kind of with these kind of tight stops. And of course, when it comes to stops, one thing I really don't like is when people say, hey, I put my stop at like 1% below the current price, or 2%, or 1.5%, or whatever that number may be, because this basically doesn't mean anything. Whatever that price level is, that it's 1.5% below price, it probably doesn't have any meaning from a technical point of view. Where you want to put your stop is where it actually matches up with a technical level on the chart, be it a support level or a resistance level. It should not be chosen arbitrarily based on some percentage that you have. Okay, so back to the dashboard, and now let's look for our bounce setups. So I'm going to clean this scanner one more time. Excuse me. Go back to a clean slate of 4,936 symbols. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use our Liquidity IQ setup column here to scan for bounce setups. And for today, we're only considering long bounces, basically bounces off the support level, where the bounces to the upside. We also have short bounces where price may bounce off a resistance level to the downside, but stocks tend to go up over time. I slightly have a bias to the long side, so we're going to focus on the long bounces off support. So I'm going to click here on my filter once again, and I will select long bounce. All right, done. And let me just arbitrarily pick one of these setups. See, let's say GDRX Holdings. What do we see here? Well, just enable liquidity IQ. We can see that, hey, this stock, I don't know what happened yesterday. I mean, the stock was the market was very bullish yesterday. It went down a lot, but where did it stop? And this is no coincidence, guys. It stopped directly at this support level, which was indicated here by our indicator. This reddish zone here, that's the support level. It stopped exactly there. So no coincidence. And as you can see, his price actually stopped at this level multiple times before. That level definitely has some significance. I'm not sure why, but these levels tend to mean something. Likewise here, so this would be an interesting candidate for a long bounce, where you would expect a move like this. You hit support, and then price goes up again. So let's see if history will repeat itself for this symbol. Well, of course, the same thing can also happen for the case where price nears itself to a resistance level. You can see it here, and you may see a bounce to the bearish side. Yeah, so these levels mean something. And that's exactly what this indicator, or what this dashboard tries to find for you. Okay, so we found our bounce stocks, and in fact, we have 653 long bounce stocks. That's a lot. Let's filter them down a little bit. And one thing I like to do is to filter for stocks which are at the same time also bullish, as per our MA Rush indicator. See this bearish label here? So this stock just turned just recently, I think maybe on Thursday or so, from bullish to bearish. So this would not be a great candidate, because the overall sentiment is bearish. Let's try to find stocks where the overall sentiment is at least bullish. So what I will do is I will go now to my MA Rush column here, and we'll filter for only bullish stocks. Click, done. Now we're down to 156 stocks. That's pretty good. Let's also put on our volume filter. I don't like to trade low volume stocks, so let's also go for stocks with a trading volume of at least 500,000 shares traded on average. Now we're down to 80. Let's go. One more thing we're going to do is we are going to sort our symbols by the duration of the uptrend. And once again, this is our MA rush column here. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to sort from highest to lowest. And now I can see, okay, which stocks have been bullish for the longest time and which have this long bounce scenario, and perhaps ideally, which are also in a healthy pullback right now. So everything may come together. So let's have a look here. What is this one? All right. This one actually is not one of my favorites, to tell you the truth. I'm actually going to not add this one. We can see that price is indeed trading at the support level here. That's all good. And if we scroll back for MA Rush, we can see also this stock is long-term bullish. But look at this huge drawdown. And we can also see that this level, this support level was previously broken quite recently. We can see it here. And we actually have a bearish healthy pullback scenario. This number is red here. That means we are long-term bearish as per this indicator. Price has been going down. And this was just a little pullback within this bearish trend. Not my favorite. Let's move on to the next one. So we're going to skip this one. But of course, there are plenty of fish in the ocean, or in the sea, as one may say. Let's look at this one. Yeah, also very choppy. We are trading near support, but to me, too choppy. This one's just going very erratic, and this is also, almost a penny stock is $6.99. Actually, let me also enable a price filter here. Everything above $25, just to keep it a bit more contained. Next one on our list is Textron Inc. All right, what do we have here? So this one, it's an interesting one. So we did break at the time our utmost resistance level in January earlier this year. A huge move up. We made all-time highs, and ever since, this stock has been consolidating. In fact, this could be an interesting candidate because to me, this is just a consolidation from this almost parabolic move upwards. Lots of sideways chop here. We are now at the downwards channel of the sideways chop. Yeah, also not the cleanest setup. We did break it here after the earnings came in. Now we're trading at the support level. Let's skip this one too. Let's try to find the best ones. So next one, TRI. Oh boy, everything is choppy these days. So this is yeah, also not my favorite. Sometimes the setup just doesn't give us any clean ones. So I'm just gonna skip this one. Similar scenario. Let's go to Kiwi Homes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, all these stocks I'm finding here with this setup, they're kind of in the same boat. We made all-time highs since we're consolidating. AMD. All right, where are we looking at here? Also bullish for 375 trading days. We made all-time highs here at 277. Pulled back ever since. And now we're trading in this area. Yeah, you know why I'm a bit hesitant for these ones is because this level, this support region, I would say, this was support here. We wicked below it. We recovered. Now we're here again and here again. It seems almost to me that, we're trying to, like with an ice pick, hit on this level over and over again. This can be a sign that this level is weakening and we may not, see a bounce, and this may actually be broken to the downside. So I'm a bit careful with this. Of course, it is an opportunity. If you want to take a chance, you may want to consider AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, for a long setup here, because you may, just see another move upwards. In fact, let's just add this one to our watch list. Okay, so edit. And perhaps one more stock. We're going to get to some more interesting ones in a bit. What do we have here? Ooh, this one. Potentially, let me have a quick look. So very bullish. You can see it here. We made all-time highs. I believe earnings came in here on November 1st. We gapped down. This is a classic earnings gap. We don't see earnings indicated here, but I'm pretty certain this is earnings. Price gap down to the support cluster here. Now we're once again trading near the support cluster. And the interesting thing about gaps is, guys, especially earnings gaps, these tend to be filled over time. So I believe if price would come perhaps down to this level here, to 55 area or 54.50 area, this could be an interesting opportunity to re-enter into this long trade in the anticipation that this earnings gap will be filled. Let me just add this one to our hot list as well. All right. Okay, so I think this is enough for our bounce setups. As you can see here, not so many clean setups with today's market conditions there. So I'd like to move on to our next setup. Are there any questions, Homer? Real quick before we do this.
Yes. We have a bunch of them here.
Oh boy.
So,
All right.
and Andy has a good question about risk management. So,
Mhm.
so the dashboard will help get you into a trade, but how can we exit a trade?
Yeah, actually, it makes it very easy. Let me quickly show you because what the indicators also do, actually both the scanner and the indicator. I'm going to show you quickly what the indicator does. If you can go here to your settings, and I disabled them by default just because I didn't want to clutter my chart. But if you scroll down to a setting called show long target and show stop long, these two ones, the indicator will actually show you where to place your stop loss here at 53.08 and where to put your long target. And you can also see how much you would lose based on today's price action or Friday's closing price action. So 4.36% from this value 55.85, and how much you stand to gain 5.42%. And if you hover over this tooltip here, you can actually also see that these numbers are also visible in the scanner. So you target at 58.51, you stop at 53.08, and if you would take this trade, this would give you an RR, a reward to risk ratio of 1.24. Yeah, so this I believe makes it quite easy to figure out when to exit your trade, both to the in the profit side or also in the loss side. Okay.
Okay, another question here. So Donald wants to know if you can exclusively scan for ETFs, and the answer is yes, you can filter by asset class. But I was thinking maybe we could show him how to do that.
Yeah, that is true. So here, if you go to our asset class column, I was hiding it from the scanner because there's only so many columns you can display. And I didn't want to make my chart too small. But if you enable it, and I can just drag this a little bit to the side to see everything, because now the chart is very small. But you can now see here that we do have an asset class column, and there's a filter icon next to it. You click on it, and you can just filter for whatever you want to see. It's ETFs. You can see there's right now there are 4 ETFs which qualify for these criteria. Price over 25, volume over 500, shares traded, the long bounce setup, and Rush being bullish. So that makes it very easy. Next question.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of questions around the type of stocks in terms of price that you're scanning for. A couple of users are wondering that it seems like we're always choosing higher price stocks, and how does the dashboard work for lower priced ones, for example, under $100?
Oh, it actually now the only filter I have on is that price should be over 25. That's just, if a stock is too low price, then just filter to an extreme example here. Actually, the lowest one we have, oh, let me just go, no filter. So the lowest one here, I mean, sometimes you get like crazy stocks, which are it's crazy penny stocks. That's to me is too speculative. It's just because who knows what's happening of these OTC stocks, whatever these might be. And this is why I don't prefer trading those. But I mean, this is my preference. Everybody has a different preference. I know some traders, they explicitly look for these lower price stocks. And you can actually add filters just to only consider these low price stocks by having a filter of stocks only below $10. Yeah, which have these setups. That's also possible. That's in the end a question of preference.
Right, and so I think the answer to that is the liquidity view logic, and liquidity IQ doesn't discriminate between
Yeah, it does
more.
not. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just it,
it really goes back to your trading style.
yeah. And actually, guys, there's even a new feature, a newish feature, I should say, which we introduced, when was it? Maybe a month ago, where you can now create a price window. So stocks which perhaps are below 100 and maybe above, I don't know, $10. So you have this price window, then you have an upper bound and a lower bound for your stock. You can do that too. Yeah. All right, perfect. Any other questions, Holmes, or should we move on?
I
We do
think we
want
should
to.
move on and we can take them at the end.
Perfect. All right. So this was our bound setup, and today we can see not too many clean setups in there, but it doesn't matter. It only takes one to make a good trade. So let's move on to the next one, the zone break setup. So zone breaks happen when either support is broken to the downside or resistance is broken to the upside. And not just any support and not just any resistance. We want the lowest level of support to be broken to the downside or the highest level of resistance to be broken to the upside. And if this happens, we might see a big follow through in the direction of the breakout. So we can see it here. This support zone break to the downside had a very nice follow through, which you can see. All right. So how can we scan for those? All right. And once again, this is a low risk, high reward because you would put your stop loss just in this case above the support zone and hoping for a big move downwards. So back to our scanner, back to our clean sheets. I'm removing all filters and we're going to use our liquidity IQ column to scan for something called long break. Perfect. And in fact, now, Homa, back to your question, we are going to use the lowest number here next to the setup because this shows the freshness of the setup. Because sometimes, let's say this one here, the long break 50, this zone break happened 50 bars ago. It's not so fresh anymore. This move has already happened to some degree. Not something we would be interested in. We want to see setups where this move is just about to happen. All right, so keep this in mind. And of course, I also want to see stocks which are bullish. Most of them, of course, will be bullish. So, and let's put on our volume filter on too, at least 500,000 shares traded and a price filter, let's say, of at least more than $10.
And
So now we're
Daniel,
down.
is it safe to say that for the setup, for that number, whether it's higher or lower, there's a dependency on what kind of setup there is? So in
Yeah,
this,
and also the kind of trade you're trying to find. Exactly.
yeah.
So for the pullback trade that we had at the very beginning, I actually wanted to have a long number because I wanted to have this zone break to be established and then just see a healthy pullback now. But right now, we just want to see where do we have fresh setups where the zone break just happened. Okay, so I'm going to now sort from lowest to highest. You can see them here. They all start with number one. In fact, just by chance, and again, I didn't rehearse this, the first stock here is in the gold space. And actually, this is it's a bit of an outlier case, and this is actually more of a zone break retrace setup, which by chance qualified also as a fresh zone break. We can see here we have the zone break arrow at the last bar, and this is because the previous bar here dipped just slightly below this resistance level here, then came up again. And technically, this is a new zone break. Okay, now a classic. This is gold or goldish. They are definitely, and I kind of like this one because it's definitely trending up. It's been trending up here as per MA Rush since December 2023. We made highest highs probably here, and then we pulled back to this broken resistance level, which is now acting as support. So this could be an interesting opportunity because we may see a bounce off this level. I do believe gold, what we saw in gold was a healthy pullback, a retracement of a long-term uptrend, and gold will rise again. And these are good opportunities to re-enter into gold. So I'm going to add this one to our watch list as well. All right. Interesting setups. And let's look. Actually, one more thing I want to do here. I'm going to actually sort. Let me just sort by our trend duration. Just scroll down here. And in fact, this is a good idea for a new feature, is to actually have maybe another filter available for the freshness of the setup. I'm going to add this one probably for the next week because I would like to see now which stocks have been trending up the longest and where's the setup relatively fresh. So right now, all I
Yeah, I
can do
agree.
is
I think that would be really helpful.
all I can do is to just go through this list here a little bit manually. I mean, it doesn't take too long. I'm just find one with a number one to it. But having a filter there could definitely be. So here's gold. Yeah, I guess gold was our best one that we had, or this gold stock. Maybe the second best one. Let me just go back to the original ones which we had. So let's see this one here with a fresh the setup is 6 bars ago, and we have a bit of a pullback. Oh, actually, this one is really cool. Look at this. Wow. Actually, now at the second look, maybe no, it's pretty good. So here we broke above resistance. We pulled back directly into this broken resistance zone, which is now acting as support. And yeah, the only hesitation here with this one is So we have a bit of a pullback here. It's definitely bullish. It's been bullish for 1,114 days. That's years. And yeah, the only hesitation is that we had this earnings gap up here, and gaps tend to be filled. So we may see some further downside action to fill this gap before the stock moves higher. This is, of course, a possibility here. But let me add this nonetheless to our list of interesting stocks. And perhaps one more. This is for all these Germans behind among you. I see there's a couple of them. This is an extremely, oh, this is not the one I want. Extremely bullish, but let's go to this one here. Quanta Services. Yeah, not the ideal one. The zone break happened 7 bars ago, but we had a huge move up already. Not the best one. And maybe one more example. These are all not that fresh right now. Yeah, also here, we had the zone break, 8, but we're trading too far away. Here, I'd like to wait for a pullback towards this level first before considering re-entry. Okay, all right, but we do have one more setup to consider, which is our zone break retrace setup. And for those of you who know me, who've been following us for a while, this is my favorite one because it's very, very rare, but it can be very, very lucrative. So let's see what this setup is all about. So zone break retrace requires, as the name suggests, a break above resistance or a break below support. But you can see here, once this break happens, we oftentimes see the stock trend up a little bit and then it retraces. And where does it retrace to? Back to the broken resistance level, which is now acting as support. You probably have heard before, support can become resistance and resistance can become support when broken. This is exactly what we're seeing here. And oftentimes the market tries to kind of fake you out first. It retraces and then the move really takes off. And this is a golden opportunity to re-enter into this trade. All right. And of course, gold, no pun intended, but we may see some gold stocks which actually just had exactly this kind of retracement since Friday. So let me go here to my scanner. Once again, clean sheet. And here in our liquidity IQ column, I will now select long break retrace. And as you will see, once I click this, we will be down to just a handful of stocks, or maybe just 10 stocks, or maybe 20 stocks from our big list here. So, 38. Okay, but still, it's a very small number compared to the other ones that we had. All right, so zone break retrace. What are these? Let's have a look. Exactly as the name suggests, we did break above resistance, and now we had a bit of a retracement back to this broken resistance zone, now acting as support. Great. All right, that's step number 1. Step number 2 is, once again, I want to filter or sort by the stocks which are bullish. So I'm filtering by this, and which have been bullish for the longest. All right, so for example, this one here, Hubble Inc. B shares, whatever that might be. So here we can see support, resistance was broken. We can see this breakout here. Now we're trading back at this broken resistance level. If I scroll back a little bit, I'm probably going to see a very bullish stock. Yeah, it's going up very strongly, and this could be definitely an interesting opportunity to enter nowish into this long trend, especially after this big pullback. We almost lost 50 points, so more than 10% in this move down. That if we're going to add this one to my list of symbols. All right, and let's go into the next one here, Rush Enterprises. Oh, what do we have here? Big earnings. Here, I'm always careful. Look at this one here. Huge move up to this gap. Actually, this gap was filled, which kind of makes me hopeful. So it was not filled, sorry. We gapped up here from here to there, and then we retraced since. And you know what? It is not unlikely that this gap will be filled to this level, and then it could be a good opportunity to re-enter into this trade. So I'm going to skip this one. I think it's too risky because this gap may be filled. Gartner. Oh boy, Gartner. What do we have here? So Gartner has been, trading above this resistance level, and also now pulling back a little bit towards this broken level. And if it goes back a bit further, perhaps to the 510 area, this could be an interesting opportunity. So let me add this one to our list, and perhaps one more, City Holding Company. Yeah, this one I'm definitely gonna skip as well. Big earnings gap. If we are anticipating a gap fill, then we see more downside action for this symbol. So we're gonna skip this one as well. But I believe you do get the point of how you can find these interesting setups, especially when you combine multiple filters with each other and use these sorting tools. And as mentioned, we are going to use or add another filter to this one here, which allows you to filter by the freshness of the signal. All right. Holmes, before we're going to look at our hot list, any other questions?
Yeah, we have a bunch of questions here, so let's try to get through them. I have two questions here about R score.
Yeah,
So the first one is, can you define what R score is? And then the second one is Andy wants to know if we can look at NYT since the R score is positive, and if this
yeah.
means is the risk reward, does it
No,
look better?
yeah. So maybe this name is a bit rewarding. Our score is unrelated to reward to risk. It is actually related to our trend radar. So the R stands for radar score, not risk or reward score. And in
I wonder
fact,
if we can call it TR score then,
yeah,
just
we probably should.
maybe
This
we
is
can
good.
do that, yeah.
That's good feedback. Yeah. So that's basically a read of the last 50 rows, columns here in your trend radar indicator. And what it does, it looks at all the cells which are green and versus the ones which are red. And there's some weighing involved where the ones that are more recent have more value and the longer term trend ones also have more value. And it calculates basically a score based on the last 50 ones in here. And as a rule of thumb, a positive score tells you, hey, over the last 50 bars, we are bullish. This is really a short-term outlook, what's going on here. So what's happening short-term, we are bullish. And the higher it is, if it's green, the more bullish we are. So here, this one at 313. So for the last 50 bars, I mean, perhaps it started here. We saw this huge move up, so that's very bullish. If you want to see an extreme, for example, um, you know what? You can even sort by these ones from highest to lowest. So this one here, Gillette Science, last 50 bars only. You got this guy went up from like 70s here all the way to almost 100. So very, very bullish, even though we have a bit of a pullback here. And in fact, just coincidentally, that's a great stock, by the way. Beautiful pullback right to this resistance zone. It's a healthy level 3 pullback. Uh, so yeah, this could be, maybe I'll add this one to my hot list just because I found it accidentally. So yeah, but I hope this explains the R score. We do have an entire boot camp video for the Liquidity View dashboard, which explains the R score in more detail. But I think it gives you an intuition. It's about the last 50 columns here in your trend radar indicator.
And if you do want access to that boot camp, send us an email and we'll send it to you about
Yeah,
the score.
exactly.
And can we just look at symbol NYT for Andy and the R score for that?
NYT. Yeah, it's 179. Oh boy, that's New York Times, huh? Print media. Yeah. So you can see it's not the highest R score pulse because these can also go negative. So and I see R score something like the 400s. It means it's like mildly bullish in the last 50 bars. You can see it here. This is somewhat flattish. What you can see in the last 50 bars. This is what this R score shows.
Brian's looking for symbols. I was just looking here. Sorry, I lost it. There's a lot of questions coming in and then the box moves all of them down. So I'll have to look at that again. But meanwhile, can we look at symbol ADT?
ADT, yeah. Oh, we probably don't have this one. This actually brings up another good point. If there is a symbol missing and you'd like to see it in our scanner, just send us an email and we're going to look to add it to it. As I mentioned very early, we are about to expand this list to almost 8,000 symbols. But if there's anything specific you want to have added right now, we can do this as well. So please send us a note.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's to Sylvia. So I know you're the one that asked for ADT. So if you did want it added, like Daniel said, send us an email for that. Maybe Daniel, can you look at the question from Brian? Because I'm not sure if I can make it out.
Tooltips.
I
Yeah.
know, way on top. Any shots in trend radar about overbought?
Oh, and trend radar, not so much, but I think this would be more something which is kind of RSI related. We can see if we can add something like this, but I think trend radar would not be uh, the best one for this. Yeah.
So he's actually mentioning similar to the indicator actually that we built for Surge Burger, the V2 or the vertical that we're
Yeah,
familiar
but
with.
that's of course we cannot add these indicators to the hours, but let's see what we can do. So I'll take this away. We'll take this offline.
Okay. Paul's saying that for some reason he's unable to see symbols ACM or AEM. Do we have those symbols in there?
Uh, so if they are missing, ACM is there. You probably have a filter on. So remove the filter, and then you should be able to see the symbol. You can see it here. And the other reason could be you're not on the end of day scanner. You're probably in a watch list. If that symbol is not in your watch list, you would not see it.
Again, going back to what Daniel said, if there is something missing, a symbol, you can email us and we
Yeah,
can,
but in this
because we
case,
are in the
they
process.
are clearly here. So I believe there was a filter on, or you were not on your end of day scanner. Or sometimes, I I see myself, I accidentally put like something in the search box, like an X. That means we automatically filter down to only symbols which have an X somewhere, either in the symbol itself or in the name. And then, that also could be the reason why you didn't see that particular one, because there's something in here. So make sure the search box is also empty.
Rob has a couple of symbol requests. Let's just get through one or two of them for now. And then Rob, if there's more time, we'll come back to them. If not, we'll do them next time. So can we take a look at the SPY, please?
Yeah.
Because he wants to know if the current market pullback is healthy or not.
It's definitely healthy. Look, it's only level 2. Yeah, that I'm not concerned at all. This is everything we see right now in the SPY was completely foreseeable. People say that, hey, this gap is likely to get filled after the election. Look at this jump up here. We're seeing some evidence of this, and I would not be surprised to see further downside action next week. We are trading above resistance. Would not even be a zone break retrace yet. So yeah, totally healthy, in my opinion. This long-term uptrend is not broken by any means. Yeah.
And if we can look at RSP, please.
Okay. Okay, the equal width. Yeah, it's similar here. Level 2 pullback. So yeah, same story.
And we have a couple of really good like feedback from clients about adding tooltips. I do think
Yeah.
we have some
We have a
tooltips in
couple. We
there.
have a couple of tooltips, but definitely we should have some more. So if you hover over here, maybe more meaningful tooltips. Yeah, we should do this. Definitely. We've
And
added
Brian,
so
we're
many
also working on a legend, so
yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
going to be helpful. But
yep,
thanks for that feedback. Paul is saying, can we add earnings on the chart?
yeah. It's on our list. It's not super straightforward because some stocks have earnings quarterly. Actually, most of them. Some others have it. Actually, earnings they have it. Oh, sorry, earnings. I was thinking about dividends. Earnings we actually do have. At least the earnings date we have. So if you go here to this column called earnings date, you can see which of the stocks have earnings coming up when. And you can even filter for the ones which have earnings coming up maybe within a week or in the next 2 weeks. Or stocks which just have had earnings like maybe 3 days ago. You can see it's a bit grayed out here. Because if you're then looking, hey, check out these stocks which just have earnings, and maybe you're a gap trader, because earnings oftentimes cause gaps. You can now bet on the fact, if you were to do it, that this gap will be filled to the downside, which is not unlikely. Yeah, so this is already possible. The actual earnings amount, this is not in the dashboard right now. I'm not sure how important it would be to see that, because this goes back to trying to interpret from a fundamental point of view what an earnings report actually means for the stock price. What was the expectation? That to me is too much fundamental. We are technicians and we believe this is priced in. And here you can see clearly this earnings report was above expectation. You can see it in the price chart. It's already priced in. This is all you need to know.
Kevin has a nice question here about scanning by sector.
Yeah, it's in the making. It's something we're working on. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think this is important for people.
It's a great feature. It's unfortunately not the easiest one to implement because it requires to get the sector and industry group information from our data provider. Anyways, it's a bit more complex to implement, but that's something on our list. Absolutely.
Yeah, and yes, since stocks usually follow trends in these sectors, so
Yeah.
we're working on that. I'm just going through these, Daniel.
Boy, there's so many questions today.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Chris has a nice comment here. And I'm biased because it's a Royal Bank of Canada. So he added the volatility filter to low with a good result on Royal Bank, which is
Obvious.
symbol RY.
Do we even have what's the
Oh,
symbol
you
for this
have
one?
RBC here.
That's
No,
a
that's something
that's
else.
probably a different one.
He says it's RY.
Oh, why? Okay.
Yeah.
It's not my bank card, that's not why it's let me just type in Royal. Royal Bank. This one.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What do we have here? Long
And then
bounce. Yeah. So we
volatility filter to low.
oh, I like this one. I
Yeah.
do like this one. Let me just put the volatility column on here. Yeah, it is low. Good. It's grinding away. I like it. You know why? I think they also had earnings on Thursday or so. We gap down. We are bullish for 154 days. We are directly at a support zone. And at the minimum, I would like to see this gap to be filled. So the gap from here to this level. I know it's not very far away, but yeah, agree. That's a good stock. That's an interesting one. Mhm.
So Patrick wants to see if we can filter for some trades that are lower than $100
Yeah,
today and are optionable.
yeah. There's so much we can do it, but sure. The way to do it, and I will not be able to analyze all of them today, but we do have this optional column here, which indicates whether this symbol has an options chain, and also it takes into account how liquid this options chain is. So if it has a check mark, it means yes, there's an options chain and it's liquid to some degree. And you can go for prices below maybe 50, and which perhaps are on a long break. Retrace setup, none. Oh, because the ASCO here. Let me just take this one out. Still none. Okay, but maybe like a long bounce setup here, in which I've been bullish for a long time. Let me see. If you had to pick one real quick, perhaps this one here, PAA. Yeah, but not the cleanest one. A lot of grindy. Let me just take the next one here. Goldfield. Okay, gold. Yeah. What about this one? I like this one. It tends to respect the support levels very nicely. You can see this nice bounce. If you want to take a shot at the call option, I think they're probably reasonably priced right now. Even the volatility is a bit highish, maybe a bit out of the money, maybe at 420-ish to get a better price. That could be an interesting idea. Yeah.
So we do have a lot of questions here about having access to Liquidity View and also to the boot camp that I mentioned. So can you please email us at
Yeah, reach out if
info@tradingindicators.com? I'm going to put it in the chat window for
yeah,
any
if
of the
there's and I
requests.
wonder why you could not get, let me just quickly go here just for a second to see. People said that there is a bug with our form, but it seems to be working here. So if you want to go to for the free trial, it's tradingindicators.com/view. You can see it here. This brings you to this page where you can watch last week's recording. This week's recording will be uploaded here shortly. And then you click, yeah, I want to try out this special. This brings you to our checkout form. You can see it here. It's there's no cost involved, and you get the free trial if you want to come on board. And otherwise, if you want to stay on, you pick one of these options. Mhm. Okay, perfect. All right. So I think Holmes, we need to come to our short
Yeah, I
list
think
to
we had a lot of interest today.
yeah,
That's great. I do still have some other questions, but if you can just email us with anything else
yeah,
you have since
in
the
the
session
interest
has
of time.
ended. So yeah.
Exactly. So here, let's now go back to our hot list. So interesting setups, 2024, November 16. All right. So, and we picked how many? We picked 9 stocks of interest. Let's try to find the ones which is perhaps the cleanest one. And I'm gonna just so I can see what it is. Let's pick it. Let's start with the ones which I already have my personal favorite in my head, but let's just go through it real quick. And one thing I don't see, did I forget to edit? Where's my nice Iron Mountain stock? Hang on, this one I definitely wanted to add to it. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay, go to Iron Mountain. Where was it? This was actually one of my favorite ones with this beautiful pullback. So I'm going to add this one as well to our interesting stock list. All right. And maybe I'm having an internet issue. Huh. Whatever. So we're gonna sort this one out. But Iron Mountain, let's start with this one here. I believe is took a little while. Is an interesting setup. Let me just go back here. Now we should see it also in our list here. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So Iron Mountain, why? Because it is so bullish. Bullish for I forgot how many trading days that were, but these were. Let's take this some stuff off here so we can see it a bit cleaner. So bullish for 974 trading days. That's years. A beautiful pullback right next to these to our ME rush lines here. I believe this could be a prime opportunity to enter long. So I'm going to actually add this here to our candidates. IRM, you can see it here. And let me quickly demo to you now our new dictation feature. And just keep in mind that because of my German accent, the dictation may not be perfect, but if you're a native speaker, this should work quite flawlessly. So let's see. Long-term bullish stock, currently seeing a level 4 pullback. Not bad. You see this? It's there. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Oops, let me just switch this off. Entry around 115. Oh, I should not say 115. Actually, this is something I learned. Let me just do this again real quick, guys. And I'm going to keep writing afterwards, but just to demo it to you. Entry around 115.00. Whatever. It's not perfect, but I think with you, if you are a native speaker, this will work just like a charm. Okay, hang on 1 second. Oops. There we go. Stop loss at 105.03. Yeah, you have to. Whatever. It's okay. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna fix this. It's not perfect yet, but I think you can see how fast you could use trading notes here, and your profit target. Profit target is around this all-time high here. It's just below 129. So we're gonna keep an eye on the stock. And now we're also gonna add a screenshot of the current setup to this trade notes feature. So this takes a little while to generate the screenshot and to put it into our setting here. But once done, to be a bit patient, you should be able to see, unless it's broken, the screenshot into our settings here. Oh, maybe not. Okay, well, as you can see, we are working on this. Oh, and I think it's because I have my microphone on here. Yes, this is probably the reason. Let me just quickly see. No, it seems to be broken. It doesn't matter. We're gonna fix this to come. So normally you can also add your screenshot to your trade notes. And then the beauty about this is you can export everything. There we go. The objective is to export everything. It was because my microphone was on and it was conflicting. You can then export everything to a PDF to review what you were thinking back in the day. And especially for swing trading, where trades, tend to take a couple of weeks or months to pan out, it is important to remind yourself why you are on this trade to begin with. Yeah, so this is that's why the screenshot feature can be quite helpful. All right, and so once I took the note, you can see now here with Iron Mountain, we have this note now available. And these notes are all timestamped. So tomorrow or on Monday, you can add another set of notes, then timestamp with Monday's date, and then with Tuesday's date, and so forth. Then you have also navigations. We just show this here in terms of when we have Gartner here. So here with Gartner, we can see that we actually already do have a trade note. I think we had this symbol a little while back. So if I go to the scroll button here, we can see here on November 6th, we put this trade note here. Now reminding ourselves, hey, what was happening on November 6th? Limit entry of 510, stop loss 499, profit at 459. And yeah, look at this great trade. When was this? November 6th? When was that? Let me just quickly see. Well, November 6th. When did we call this trade? We called it here. Yeah, and we did hit our target. So at 4.6, almost. I think it was 560. Okay, almost hit our target. Now we retraced again. I think this could be another good opportunity to re-enter long into Gartner when we hit this this broken resistance level now acting as support. In any case, let's just quickly go through each symbol to qualify these a bit further. So this gold stock, yeah, I like it, especially since we had the earnings gap here. This gap, I believe, will get filled over time. We are at broken resistance level now acting as support. So here the idea could be enter around 1850 stop loss, as the indicator suggests here at 1778, and your target just below the gap fill here at 20, around 20. This psychological number. That's an interesting one. Co-op. Oh yeah, this is also cool. We just had our zone break. Now the zone break retrace. This could be yet another high reward, low risk entry. Stop loss just below this broken resistance level at around 93, and your target at about 101. Oh, somebody's calling me. Homer, can you take a question in the meantime, real quick?
Sure, I'm going through the questions now. Um, okay, we have a couple of questions here again about
Sorry, I'm
having.
back. Somebody was ringing my phone here. Okay.
I was just saying that we do still have a couple of questions again about liquidity view dashboard and end of day data, whether
Mhm.
intraday users can use it. So the answer is no. The dashboard only has end of day data.
The
But if
only exception to this, Holmes, just as a quick side note, we do have this live button here. It's enabled for most charts. If once you click on it, you can see that actually, and of course the market is closed now, but if the market were open, you could see some intraday data here for some symbols. For stocks, they are delayed by 15 minutes. You can see here it's delayed by 15 minutes. But this would allow you to go through the intraday timeframes. The only exception or the only limitation is that you cannot see our custom indicators on it, and you of course you cannot scan for intraday. But if you just want to have a quick look what's going on intraday, you can use this live feature here, which you've added a couple of months ago to the dashboard.
Yeah, but if you do want to have our custom indicators on it and sort of do the same sort of analysis that Daniel.
Oh well, are you there? I think it just broke off. Hello? Homa? Hello, hello? Homa, can you hear me? Hey guys, can you hear me? Oh, just quickly see my microphone. Homa, can you hear me again?
I can hear you, Daniel. Can you
Oh,
hear
perfect.
me?
Yeah, okay. I thought I broke off, or maybe you broke off. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
perfect.
not sure. Sorry, there's always these technical glitches sometime. What I was saying is that Liquidity IQ and MA Rush can be used
Yeah.
on if somebody's looking for intraday data using our indicators.
Yeah, exactly. We have these indicators. This is just regular trading view, available for all major platforms, including trading view. And this was the chart I was showing earlier on today. Look how beautiful. This is a 5-minute chart of MNQ, the Nasdaq futures. Look how beautiful these levels are holding up. And once you have a break, beautiful move downwards. So yeah, these work on regular trading platforms, and then you can use them for all the intraday data that comes with the platform. And with what we do with TradingView, for example, we live trade directly from this platform every once in a while in a live trading workshop. Directly with our trading panel here, you can just connect to your trading account and live trade within TradingView, for example. Okay, perfect. All right. Perfect. So let me go back to the dashboard. Okay, so next one, RNR. What do we have here? This stock here, I mean, we had this beautiful zone break 29 days ago, and now it's retracing. But here I would wait until the retracement is deeper, that comes down to this broken resistance level. And then we would look for another move upwards. So here I would wait. I would stay on the sidelines for this one. on PSN. Big move down here. I'm just a bit scared that this move was so violent. It's like catching a falling knife. If you want to take a shot, I mean, I would still wait for a little bit more, maybe till this level here, then perhaps take a shot around this level with a stop loss just below here. But to me, a bit too risky. This is just too much of a volatile downwards move. Iron Mountain, we did discuss. Hubble, uh, yeah. So here we can see the classic scenario where we had a zone break, the retrace exactly to the broken resistance zone, went up again. Now down. We had this gap fill. That's over. So this was probably an earnings gap. The gap fill. Yeah, it could be interesting one if we see a move further down to like the 430s. Enter long here if your stop loss just around 417. Your target around the all-time highs at 477, giving you a very nice reward to risk ratio, especially if you wait a bit further for the retracement to happen. Gartner, yeah, we discussed it. This could be a nice zone break retrace. Start here now happening again. I believe the market will turn around next week after the correction, but we may see some further downside action because this the elections gap that we saw on the indexes is not yet filled. I think it might get filled and then the bullish move will continue. So we may see a bit further downside action before the markets will probably recover from that. Gillette Science. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Again, quite volatile move downwards, but exactly to this broken resistance level now acting as support. Here, I actually would take a shot just because it's we're already in this zone here. Entry perhaps around 170.50. Stop us around 185.73. That's just a couple of percents below. And if this takes off, I actually would put my target just below the all-time highs here around 98, giving you a really nice reward to risk ratio. All right, and this one here, yeah, not the cleanest. This is a bounce setup, but this one, we already kind of broke the support level here, went to this one just below. I would not be surprised if, yeah, will not hold up too much. So I'm going to skip this one. Even though we did have a nice earnings gap and this might get filled, but not the cleanest setup. And AMD, also for a long bounce. Yeah, we're right at this support level here. Earnings gap could be an interesting opportunity to re-enter long. I believe AMD will most likely be bullish at some point again. We are in the correction phase after the all-time highs. Price is consolidating. And oftentimes you see this kind of wedge pattern. But price may bounce off this level again, at least fill the earnings gap. So this could be an interesting opportunity to re-enter into this overall bullish move. So entry around 131, you stop us at 127.05. And, you may see a move all the way up here to 168. That's not out of the question. So this could be definitely an interesting symbol to consider for the week ahead. All right. So with this, Omar, I'm going to take a few more questions, and then I believe we close out this session. Are there any questions that we could quickly go through?
Let me go through this again. I think we've closed out most of them. There's just
Okay.
one from Kevin, who wants to know how are we determining stock charts, with the earnings? Is it like toss?
Yeah, right now we don't see what the earnings report actually was, but we can see here in our earnings column when the earnings will come up. And of course, then you see in the aftermath on the chart what the earnings results were. Let me just go back to my scanner. If we look at earnings here, we can see, for example, stocks of earnings a couple of days ago, like this one here. And not much happened here. Let me just pick another one. 1 second, I find a bit of a better stock with earnings just recently.
So I'm not familiar how toss does it. I think Kevin wanted us to compare it to toss.
Oh, I'm not sure, but TOS will show it directly on your chart here when earnings are coming up, I believe. In this case, you would need to look into your scanner when they are coming up or if they just happened in the past. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good, Daniel.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Two quick reminders that if you want to attend our live webinar at the 2025 Profit Playbook Conference. Please consider it. The link is in the chat. Don't use this link here. This is erroneous. Homa put the link into the chat. It starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. I believe, and my part will be at 12 p.m. Eastern at noon when I come on and show you how to enhance your trading with liquidity zones. I'll showcase how our liquidity IQ indicator together with Rush works beautifully on intraday charts. So we're also going to look at some longer term charts, but primarily for day trading in tomorrow's event. All right. And if you have not downloaded our ebook yet, please do so. It's completely free, no strings attached, no payment information. Tradingindicators.com/power of 3. The link is also in the chat. And if you're considering trying out our dashboard, the offer for the 1-week free trial still stands. Tradingindicators.com/view. All right. So with this, if there are some questions that we missed out today, I'm sorry for this, but there are so many, which is awesome. We tried to go through most of them. Thank you, Homa, for all your support. This was really helpful that you were helping with the chat. So thank you so much. And guys, if we missed something, please send us a quick note at tradingindicators.com. In the main menu, click on the contact item. This opens up a contact form. Put your question there, and this will go straight to my or Homa's inbox, and we will make sure to get back to you as soon as we can. All right.
And just to add to that, I really enjoy getting feedback, as does the rest of our team, around the indicators. So I appreciated how some of our attendees gave some feedback about Liquidity View and what would work better for them. So as users, if you can, keep sending those to us, we do take them seriously, and we do go through them and prioritize them for the next release.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, all your feedback is our lifeblood, so to say. So please keep sending it, because this drives our development, because we want to make a tool which is right for you. So, of course, your feedback for this is absolutely instrumental. All right. With this, guys, have a great Saturday afternoon, and hopefully see you all on Monday at my live webinar, or otherwise in our lunch and learn session, or perhaps next week at another power scanning session for the week ahead. With this, guys, have a nice day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.